All right, at this point in the game, I think everybody's heard of Flex Tools, and I think a lot of people are just curious. If you follow Project Farm or Torque Test channel and have seen the impacts or impact wrenches go up against the name brands that we're all familiar with at box stores like Milwaukee and Makita and DeWalt, then you're definitely curious about how these things are tending to put out more power. They sometimes have more voltage on their batteries uh, and also have bigger batteries. So, that relates to more power. They also have the turbo button, which lends itself to give you extra power when you need it. So I think it's an interesting thing that someone can get into. And me personally, I got into Flex Tools because I got my tools robbed, and I didn't want to have Milwaukee anymore because people just looked at it all the time, and people were just always interested in it. So this is just my review. So I've had these for about 2 years now. Uh, I was a pretty big fan of their belt clip like that they had. I recently took it off, so it's not there for you to see, but the Milwaukee one goes up and then comes out at an angle, but theirs is like a big rectangle, and my setup clips on and stays on easier, I would say, to my belt. So that's just one random thing I would say. One other thing, this is kind of going in no particular order, but I noticed that if you ever go into this mode, I guess that's turbo mode on the impact, um, I never found it being beneficial. It always seemed like it sent it at a strange speed. I don't know if you can hear. So here's one. Here's two. More power. Three. And you'd be running stuff on that all the time. But this is turbo. And it sounds strong without any load, but honestly, it always tends to make it, like if I'm driving a self-tapper into, like, let's say I have sheetrock and then a metal stud on the back, whenever that's on, it's just the worst situation ever, but I don't know. Moving on, like I said, I've had this for about 2 years now, and just some wear and tear that you can see, like on this side, the guard for the fan has been broken. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that I have, not dropped this. I've dropped it plenty. I do think that if your tool can stand the test of time to some drops, then, that's a good tool, especially for someone in the trades who's moving like crazy. One thing that I do miss and I do really like is the collet ejector for your bits. And this is amazing. I have since moved to Milwaukee, and I miss this so much about this drill because it makes it one-handed for taking out the collet, and that just saves so much time. I really enjoy this feature. Sometimes like once in about 500 times it does get stuck, and you have to like if you have a bit in there, you can just tap it against the ground and then it'll like reset. But that's something that I've noticed. This thing is definitely a beast. Weight-wise, even with this small battery, this thing weighs a lot more than the 2.5 that the Milwaukee has for their M18 Fuel, the third generation. The stubby flat, not the stubby, but the flat face with the LEDs on the side. Like compared to that one, this one is shorter, but goddamn, these things are so heavy. I noticed it, and yeah, they're just insanely heavy. All of Flex tools are very heavy. I guess my next thing that I can point out is, oh, sorry, more on that point. Like, they are heavy. I feel the head of this, and it just feels like a lot of the components are metal. And I know that probably lends itself to more rigidity and long-term, that you're going to have a better product. But I've seen a lot of videos of people temperature testing these things under high torque or high load applications, and the collet gets super hot, or around the metal housing gets exceptionally hot. And that's been true in my case. Like, I've been doing solar. I mean, it's probably not the greatest, smartest idea to run half-inch hardware on an impact on the roof on black, asphalt shingles. But like working with this, like if you touch this in the sun, like you get burned. So the overheating things I think are true because this stuff gets insanely hot, and it's not like you see it. I think one time have seen it smoking from the inside, but yeah, if you touch this at the wrong time under a high torque application, you feel it. So one thing that did not hold up is the mount to the battery. That is not a normal amount of flexing points right now. The only thing that's really holding this guy together is the pretty high quality rubber on this. That's the only thing that's really holding this thing together because this is just shaking. I think this is a good tool. Another thing I'd like to say about Flex is that Milwaukee has an insane resale market. DeWalt as well. I don't really know about Makita. I've never really gotten to them. But like Facebook Marketplace, if you want to endorse those people and potentially thieves, people who are stealing tools from people, there's an insane aftermarket, or not aftermarket, but resale market of Milwaukee tools. There is not really for Flex. You can maybe find a couple on eBay for options, but it wouldn't support the construction industry if a bunch of people turned over tomorrow. So like resale wise, these don't go on sale. Milwaukee's always running sales, or DeWalt's always running sales. Flex really doesn't run sales, and I personally didn't run into this either, but I did see that Flex's batteries were also leaking in some cases, coming to people brand new and they were leaking. I don't really know. I never experienced it, but it is, just another thing that's kind of troublesome. So I think that covers a lot of my opinions on this. The next thing is, and I mean this happens to everybody, but my drill took a tumble and it snapped in half. It broke here. I mean, to what extent you can make out of that, you can, think about it as you will. If a drill drops 10 feet, you don't drop a drill 10 feet. But what do I have to say about this? I was doing some residential work at an apartment complex, roping there's 26 circuits per panel, 26 home runs, and there was 14 units or something like that, and I was stupid and didn't buy a whole hog, and I ran it with this, and it worked great for a while. It's a really strong drill, but I lost first gear, and so now if I was to throw a battery on this, it actually still surprisingly works, even though it's not attached to the chuck anymore. But I don't know if you can hear anything if I turn it in one. Yeah, there's no load on it, so. But I lost first gear, and it makes a weird noise, and you can hear. I'm not exactly sure how the transmission gearbox in here works, but some teeth are definitely lost because things skip, and it actually just seizes up when you apply pressure on it. But second gear works fine. Yeah, but I lost first gear within a year of using it within my first apartment that I was roping. Again, like I said, you should probably be using a whole hog, but just something to think about. I also have the bandsaw from them. I don't know if this is anyone's experience, but one thing that I do not like about it is that their bandsaw uses the DeWalt size. It's like a 35 and 7/8. Don't quote me on that, but it's like a non-standard one that supply houses typically don't have. So if you buy that bandsaw, then your work will probably not compensate you for bandsaw blades. I think it's pretty good. It's compact. I like it for the most part. It does break a lot of blades. I don't know if that's just a bandsaw issue or if it's that bandsaw in particular, but it's an issue I do have. I also have their Sawzall and their circular saw. I'm not a framer, so I don't really use a circ saw as much. It's a two-handed Sawzall that I have from them, and it's heavy. I have a one-handed one from Milwaukee that I use for trench work as an electrician, so that's one that I use a lot. But what else do I have from Flex? I have their oscillating tool. Their oscillating tool, too, uses a star-style oscillating bit, which makes it exceptionally hard to get ones to fit your tool. So they went with a proprietary style, and it isn't always available for everyone. So those are my opinions on Flex.